Hey there, beautiful people. It's Dina bringing another daily dose. Yesterday, I talked to you about how unhealed moms become emotional landmines and how we can pass that down to our kids. If we're operating in this depleted, stressed out, unmanaged state, then it becomes this survival mode and that becomes a lifestyle. And then we pass that down to our kids. If our house is out of order, so will our children. If our stress level is unmanaged, then their stress level will be high. If we are not thriving, then our homes are not thriving. So we talked really about, like, what do you do when you know you're not okay, but you just don't know what to do about that? So I kind of shared my story, and this is something that God has really placed on my heart. I'm passionate about this because, first of all, I didn't really know how to get out of it myself either. And I didn't have a course, and I didn't have a person specifically. I had people in my life, but I didn't have anybody that was pouring into me, showing me how to get out of that. I literally was in survival mode for years, and I just kept trying to figure it out, trying to be better. It wasn't until I finally surrendered and said, okay, I can't do this myself. It didn't really matter what caused the pain. At the end of the day, it did not matter what caused the pain. It didn't matter if it was my fault, if it was my family's fault. It was probably a combination of a lot of things. But it was 100% my responsibility to heal from that. I could no longer keep walking around carrying this heavy baggage that was never meant for me to carry in the first place. By me not learning how to manage my stress, I passed that on to my children. And they today still have a hard time managing stress. Now we're working that out and we've healed our relationship, but that doesn't mean that those consequences of that still aren't there and present in their life today. So God has called me and commanded me to help others that are walking through this, walking through extreme parenting, walking through special needs parenting, walking through difficult marriages, whatever that might be. Whatever it is, those extreme situations where you find yourself just living in survival mode and you're depleted and you're just trying to get by, those are the people that my heart is closest to, because I was that for so many years. And I know that God has called me to heal up the wounds of the brokenhearted. I've been commanded to do that. So I'm bringing biblical truth to you. I bring strategies to you to help you get out of that. And sometimes I'm still walking through that. This whole channel is about my journey and my transformational journey, which is a lifetime of figuring that out. But I've learned some things along the way that I didn't have 20 years ago, 25 years ago when I started this parenting journey, 14 years ago when I started the special needs mom part of that journey. And I've shared before very openly that I've been married before. This is, I'm married now second time for 25 years. But my first marriage ended in divorce, and I didn't know a thing about managing that or understanding even how to be a good wife or any of that. And so God has been training me, equipping me for the last 57 years. I'm going to be 57 in a couple weeks. He's been training and equipping me for this mission right here, right now, to help other people, other moms, other wives, other women that are walking through very difficult, treacherous terrain, and they just don't know how to get out of that. But there is such a life of abundance on the other side of that. So my heart just really wants to go out to somebody that just doesn't see that where they're at right now, because I was certainly in a place where I didn't see that. There was certainly a time where somebody could have tried to tell me otherwise, and I would not have believed you that there was going to be something on the other side of that if my situation didn't change. And some of my situation has changed, and much of it hasn't, but I've changed a lot. I've changed a lot in that. So one of the things I mentioned to you in yesterday's video was that you got to do the work. There is no easy, quick fix. There really isn't. I don't really have any worldly advice for you. I have a lot of biblical advice. I have practical strategies I can give you that I did, but you got to do the work. It's 100% your responsibility to do the work to get yourself out of that situation. I had to come to a reality that nobody is coming to rescue us. Now, God rescues us, but that's one of the tools and strategies is by resting in Him, by surrendering to Him, by allowing Him to be the one that is leading you, that you're yoked with Him. That's a strategy, but no human being is coming to rescue you. I'm just going to be honest with you. Now, there might be people that God places in your life that are mentors or pastors, coaches, even a trusted friend. But honestly, they're not going to do the work for you. You have to do the work. So there came a point where I just needed to let go of whatever I felt like was the problem. So many times I was the one that had a blind spot and there was something that I was doing. Now, it might have been triggered because of trauma that was unhealed from childhood, even from betrayal. Honestly, there's still stuff that I didn't even realize from my first marriage that I was still carrying on, even though I have no issues with him at all. And I wish him well. And it's been a long time. Like, honestly, I have no issues with that. But I didn't realize that some of that really did shape my character. It shaped my trust level. All of that God wanted to heal. And when we don't heal something, it does spill over into other areas of our life. And then we become like we're just living in survival mode and we're just striving and stressing. And then we feel like we can't breathe. I've shared this before. I felt like I was in the deep end of the water and just treading water. And I would come up and take a breath and I would go back down and come up and take a breath. And I almost carried this like baggage, or this, it was like a heavy coat. I would just carry this heavy coat of like depression. But I kept putting on this mask. Like I was fine. I'm okay. I'm fine. I really wasn't okay. And I shared with you yesterday, it is okay for you not to be okay. But it's not okay for you to stay there. It's okay for you to just to get to the place where you recognize, I'm not okay. You get out of that place of being numb. You got out of that place of complacency or even a blind spot where you don't even realize that there's something going on. A lot of times we could go for long seasons. We don't even realize that we're operating out of this depleted state. But there will come a point where God will address that. And I've shared that a lot too, because sometimes he's taking you to the next season. We go from glory to glory, transition to transition. He's always transforming us, especially if you are a Christ follower and you're somebody that says, God, please, I want to follow you. I need your help. I can't do this on my own. You better believe that he's going to take you from transition to transition. He will never keep you stuck. Now, we might delay that because of our own disobedience, our own resistance, which is a lot of what I share. That's where I was at, because I just played a victim. I just didn't want to see that there was anything that I was doing, because there were legitimate things that were happening in my life that on the outside in the natural were betrayal, were painful to anybody that might see that. But it didn't matter. I was the one that had to get it together. I was the one that if I didn't do that, I was going to pass it down to my kids. And I did do that. Now they're walking through stuff. So again, God is such a forgiving, loving, miraculous God, and he will heal anything and he will restore anything if you seek him, if you seek him first, if you put him first, if you delight in him. All these things that I share all the time, if you do all those things, he will be there for you. And it's not like he's withholding it if you don't, but he can't access something or give you access to something that you are resistant to. He will never force himself on you. So a lot of times in this world, we wonder where God is. Why is he so absent? Because you're the one that shut the door in his face. Like, that's really what it is. It breaks my heart how many people blame God for their circumstances when they're the ones that are slamming the door in his face. They're the ones that are living in outward rebellion. They're the ones that are partnered with the world. They're the ones that are complaining and murmuring and judging and gossiping and all these things that are the language of the enemy. And we say, where are you, God? Why aren't you helping me, God? And I was one of those people. And I thought I was serving him. On one side of my mouth, I was serving him. And on the other side, I was complaining and criticizing and striving and living and all of that. So I will be bringing a lot of these messages to you, because this is just a season that God has given me this information. I just understand that we're in a world that is hurting right now, very broken right now. And there's a lot of people that are in this stressed out state. And maybe they're functioning, and maybe you're a mom right now and you're listening to this and you get it. You don't know how to get out of it, but you get it. You understand that this is not okay. I can't stay like this. I had to get to that place that even though I had no idea how I got there or how to get out of it, I knew I had to do something. I knew that I had to do whatever it took to get out of that. And it was intentional work. This is a very intentional way of living. Okay, but it will bring you freedom. I promise you. It will bring you freedom on the other side of the chaos, other side of the destruction in your life. Now, God may not remove those things right away, because sometimes he'll use those things to develop the strength, the character, the perseverance, the resilience. He uses that to help you. He doesn't cause it, but he will use it to help you. And I'm grateful that he didn't relieve me from some of those things, because a rescue wouldn't have been the right thing. Transforming me is the better thing, so that the next time something comes along, I'm strong enough to withstand that. So I wanted to leave you with some scriptures, because yesterday I said I was going to leave you with some scriptures and some strategies. And then we'll continue this on over the next few days, because I really do want to talk to you about where do we go from here when we finally say, okay, all right, God, I surrender. What do I do now? And that's where I was at. There's so many things that I could share from that point to where I'm at today. But here's a couple scriptures that I want to leave you with. So this is one of the strategies. When I say you got to put in the work, there is no quick fix. These are the things that people don't want to do, but you have to do it, because there is a promise a lot on the other side of some of these scriptures. And I'm still going to do a series on God's promises, his conditional and his unconditional promises, because they're different. There are certain things that God promised us that there's nothing we have to do for that. And then there's promises where he tells us to do something and then he'll do something. And again, it's not because he's cruel or trying to withhold it. It's about us getting into alignment with him. He is not just going to just give us whatever we want and we can be in outward rebellion, nor would a parent do that to their own child. So we can't expect God to do that for us. It's amazing the standards that we have for God that we wouldn't even do ourselves. So anyway, I want to leave these with you and I'll leave them in the description as well. Psalm 34:18. The Lord is closest to the brokenhearted and saves those that are crushed in spirit. That was one of my life verses. It's still one of my life verses, that God is closest to those that are brokenhearted. And somebody who's stressed and striving and dealing with, all kinds of trauma, they're brokenhearted. They're crushed in spirit. If you've gone through a divorce, if you've gone through a difficult marriage, you are crushed in spirit. I promise you that that's part of that journey. And God is closest to those that are walking through that. And he saves those that are crushed in spirit. Isaiah 40:29-31, it says, he gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. He gives strength to us that are weary and weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fail. But those whose hope is in the Lord will renew their strength. So there's one of those conditionals. If your hope is in the Lord, he will renew your strength. If you're believing that he's the one that can do that, then he will renew your strength. They will soar on wings like eagles, and they will run and not grow weary, and they will walk and not faint. Matthew 11:28-30. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Now that's another conditional one. You have to come to him, and then he'll give you rest. If you're not going to him and not asking him and not surrendering that to him, okay, if you're not surrendering your will, then there's no rest for that. But again, it's not because he's being cruel. It's because you're not doing the part that will release the rest. So it goes on to say, take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart. Now here's another part. It says, take my yoke, but learn from me. His ways are higher than our ways, and they're greater than ours. His thoughts are higher, so we do need to learn this. He says, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God, and I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. But it first says, do not fear. It says, do not fear 365 times in the Bible, that he didn't give us a spirit of fear. So we first have to not fear. Don't be afraid. Don't be dismayed. I am God and I will strengthen you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. God is pure and righteous. He's going to uphold you. Psalm 145:18. The Lord is near to all who call on him, to all who call on him in truth. When you call on him, he's near to you. He's never left your side. Habakkuk 3:19. The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of deer. He enables me to go on the heights. Meaning that he's going to give you the strength to go to do whatever it is that you need to do. It's going to be like a deer jumping on the cliffs. They have like this amazing ability and strength to be able to do that. He gives you that kind of strength and that ability. Psalm 55:22. This is one of my favorites. Cast your burden on the Lord. Release it, and he will sustain you and uphold you. He will never allow the righteous to be shaken, slip, fall, or fail. I like the way it's worded in the Passion Translation, too. It says, so here's what I've learned through it all. Leave all your cares and anxieties at the feet of the Lord, and measureless grace will strengthen you. Measureless, meaning this unending grace will strengthen you. But it says you got to cast your burdens first. That's what you got to do first. Leave it, all your cares and anxieties with him. Then you'll have unmeasurable grace that strengthens you. And the last one is Philippians 4:6-7. Do not be anxious or worry about anything, but in everything, in every circumstance and situation, that means everything, by prayer and petition. So we're petitioning God, we're asking him, we're leaving it, we're casting our cares, we're doing all those things with thanksgiving. So here's another condition. If you're doing this with gratitude and thanksgiving, not complaining and murmuring, we're taking all our petitions, we're doing that with thanksgiving. Continue to make your specific requests known to him. Be very specific with him. It's okay to tell him exactly what you want. And the peace of God, that peace which reassures your heart, that kind of peace which transcends all understanding, that peace which stands guard over your heart and your minds in Christ Jesus, is yours. If you do all those things that I was saying, the peace that transcends all understanding is yours. So you have to read your word. Honestly, there are people in the world are trying to find answers, but God already wrote the answers for us. He's right there with us. We have to stop denying that. We have to stop just acting like, okay, I know that, I'm just going to go find another answer. Well, then you're going to keep struggling and striving and stressing. And the more you get into the language of the enemy of complaining and gossiping and thinking negatively about your situation, you're going to just attract more of that to you. And that's not a new age thing. I'm saying you're going to manifest that in your life if you keep looking at that instead of looking at the things that God told you to fixate your mind on. There's another scripture that talks about think about those things that are good and pure and lovely and admirable and praiseworthy. Think about things of excellence. Think on those things. It doesn't matter how difficult your life is. There's always something that you can fixate your mind on. Because if there's nothing around you in the natural, you can certainly fixate your mind on how good God is. You can look at different testimonies. You can look at testimonies in the Bible or look it up on YouTube. There's plenty of people that have brought testimonies of God's goodness. I have a good friend, another author friend. Her name is Chris. She has a podcast called Witness the Wonder. Her entire podcast is about interviewing people that the miraculous things that God has done. I would encourage you to watch that podcast and you'll be able to see that God is a miracle working God. Those are the things you fixate your mind on, not on the struggles that you're going through. Those are the things that will start to manifest in your life if you get in alignment with that. Please let this encourage you. Let it fill your spirit. We're going to keep bringing this, around because I believe there's a lot to unpack here that I can't do in a 10, 15, 20-minute video. So anyway, I know this one went a little bit long, but let these scriptures fill your heart and your mind. Let it transform you. And this is part of the strategies. If you're in a depressed state, if you feel like you can't go on, if you want to give up, honestly, even if you're suicidal, like I was, meditate on these scriptures. I promise you they will transform your mind. You're going to get into alignment with who God says you are, knowing who God is. I've been doing videos after videos about this. There's a progression to what God has been sharing with me to share with you. And you will get out of it. I promise that will break off of you. Remember, he has a plan. Even through all the difficulties, he has a plan. It is good. I promise you. And I love you. And I can't wait for us to be back together again. So have an awesome day. Bye.